Okay, now, from the beginning.
Greetings, hello, and welcome to the Dotcast. This is the podcast for wedding photographers, creatives, and business owners, brought to you by 9dots. I'm Andy Gaines, and we are super excited to have you here today. Here at the Dotcast, we dive deep into the world of wedding photography, creativity, and entrepreneurship. So whether you're an experienced photographer or someone just starting out on your journey, 9dots is here to help you on the way. From our online community, through our educational videos, awards, and in-person events like the 9dots Gathering, for almost 10 years now, 9dots has been dedicated to making you the best photographers and business owners you can be. You can find more about 9dots, the membership, and all the benefits of that, as well as our community and all our in-person events, down at the links in the description below. The 9dots community embraces and values a diverse range of all talents, experiences, and stories from the world of wedding photography. So whatever your background, experience level, or style, the 9dots community is the perfect place to grow and learn together. So check out the links in the description, and without further ado, let's get on with our episode.
Yes, I'm the type of person that actually books later. So I'm actually doing better than last year. I have more bookings than last year, but I'm not worried about the number of them because because being in Paris, I have lots of foreigners, or I have lots of people from Paris getting married somewhere else or in Paris, and they tend to be bigger. So they don't, and they also tend to have more money than someone that would get married maybe in another region. So they don't worry too much about it in advance. So I tend to get booked maybe 6 months in advance, average, when some of my colleagues get booked a year and a half in advance or something. So it's doing better than last year. But it would probably worry some other photographers if they were at my stage.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that in France, we do less weddings than you guys, so we don't have to book more than about 20 max, and I usually do like 13, 15 max.
Okay.
So it's not too many to book.
Yeah, but why do you guys do less, or why do you think we do more?
I think you do more because your people don't care about the weather.
All right, that's true.
People who get married in France, or I guess in Italy as well, they want the nice weather. So, and they all want to get married on Saturdays because then people don't have to take days off. And so we only have like the summer Saturdays, so like April to October, I would say. But like I'm getting more and more from like May to October. I'm not getting much April anymore either. So there's only so many Saturdays that you can do. And then obviously if you live in a big town like Paris, you can do the small weddings. So I'm only talking about big weddings when I say 13 to 15.
Yeah. Like 4-day weddings, you mean?
Exactly. And then if you live in like Bordeaux or Paris or Marseille or like a big city, then you probably will have like lots of requests for small 2-hour, 3-hour ones. But they also choose Saturdays. So the problem is in the summer, a lot of us just tell them that we're not available because we want the bigger ones because we're limited in the number of days. So we have to do Saturdays for the big ones. So you could do probably about more than 15 or 20. You can probably do 35, 40 if you do the small ones as well. On other days, it's difficult to find in the winter. Yeah.
So I'm sure like people come over to Paris and stuff like that to get married midweek, don't know? Or most couples, I guess, they just do it only Saturdays.
Some foreigners, they don't care, especially Americans, because they will travel for longer than just a couple of days. So they might get married on Thursday or Wednesday or something like that. But if it's English people or British people, they also usually choose the weekend because it's so easy now with the Eurostar and everything. So they can arrive on the Friday, do the wedding on the Saturday, party on the Sunday, go back on the Monday. And still not book too many days off. So Americans usually can get married in the week, but that's also only a few regions in France. It's going to be like Paris or Provence. A lot of the other photographers don't have those. So do
you do many weddings abroad then? Like as in abroad, but like Italy and Spain and stuff like that? Like
I've done Italy a few times, and I might do it next year again. I have a call on that this week. But yeah, just Italy. I don't really do. I've never had any requests for Spain. But then I guess it's it's the same all the time. It's like if you communicate about Italy, then you will get Italy. And because I've shot in Italy, then I communicate on Italy. So if I started communicating on Spain, maybe I would go. But it's not my priority to go destination. I love it, but I travel half of the year already in my life. So if I can spend a bit of time in Paris when I'm in France, at home and stuff like that, then I'm happy to see it. So I'm super happy when I get Paris. And I'm also super happy to move, but I wouldn't want to do destination every week because or else I would definitely not spend any of my year at home.
What do you do when you're traveling? You just on holidays and stuff, or?
It depends.
actually
Like, so
working?
if I go to warm places, I'm usually on holidays. But then it's always, as you know, it's always like half holidays because you work on your website, you try and work on Instagram, which I'm shit at, and stuff like that. But if I go to cold places, then I take pictures because I'm also a nature and wildlife photographer.
Oh,
But
right, nice.
but I'm more of a cold person.
Yeah. How did you get into that, the nature and wildlife like photography?
By traveling, actually. I was traveling. I used to work in the music industry before being a photographer, and I took a sabbatical from work.
Yeah.
And I went traveling to Canada to visit my friend who lives in Yellowknife, so it's like really, really north. And we went to visit. So if you look at National Geographic, I think it's the worldwide one. They've just released like videos of a herd of reindeer, like 3,500 reindeer that one of their photographers went to shoot in Canada.
Yeah.
That's a herd that we went to visit like 10 years ago. So I also have pictures of that herd, but I'm not a National Geographic photographer, so I'm the one enjoying them.
All right.
But yeah, I basically did exactly the same that photographer did. We really wanted to see the herd and the sort of tradition around it and everything. And that's when I started taking pictures, and I really enjoyed it. And so I started doing it as a hobby, and then I started selling prints. And now I'm going to start as a photo guide for a travel agency that caters for photographers. So that's coming up in 2026. I'll be traveling with photographers and teaching them to be better photographers.
Oh, wow.
Basically.
That's nice. Like in different countries and then just like shooting.
Yeah. So I'm going to be like, he has like lots of different photographers specialized in different stuff like architecture and, street photography or whatever. But I'm going to be in the nature and wildlife type trips. So it's going to be anything from Botswana to the Arctic, which I go already, like Svalbard and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really cool. Like so different to like weddings.
Yeah, I really like the two. I basically love to be busy in Paris and running around at weddings and the stress of it and whatever. And then I love to be on the pack ice and wait for a polar bear to show up. So
yeah, that's awesome. You know, with your wedding. So, sorry, are you like more high end then? Like, is that where you're at?
No, so I would say that for France, more mid-range to higher end. So some of my colleagues who live in the countryside, they would say, I'm not really mid-range anymore because being from Paris, it's already a higher sort of price.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I'm luxury either. Like luxury would be like probably 15,000 or something per wedding or something like that. And I'm definitely not there. But I am making the move basically slowly but surely from mid-range to higher range. I've just released my new website. That's what I was telling you about before we got on with Style Cloud.
Nice.
The one that we all love.
Funnily enough, I just put sorry to interject. I got Alex, who does my website, like to put the Style Cloud so I can use Cadence and Style Cloud in my thing. And Melissa she gave it to me for a year free to try out. And I put it in on Friday and I was just playing with it and I'm like, oh my God, it's fucking amazing. It's so good.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's so good.
Because the block system I already knew from my previous website, but the fact that you don't have to think about the design, because I'm not a designer, so I'm going to start like doing things and go like, oh, is this too much? Is this not enough? Is this so the fact that every time you want a new section and you just go in and you're like, oh wow, I just want like an about type section, and then you have like the choice between all of these things. It's amazing. Like
I messaged her straight away. I was just like, man, this is incredible. I can't believe the system. She goes,
and wait until you have a problem, and then you get in touch with them. The support, they're amazing. They go like, oh yeah, sure, we'll do it.
Tom, probably.
They're amazing.
No, it's cool. It's like, because I've got a list of like pages that I want to make on my website just to tweak different things. Like one is to like advertise like the hybrid stuff and whatnot. And like, so I've created a lot of work for myself to do now that I've put that Style Cloud plugin in. So pardon me my voice,
I'm super excited. And that's one thing, like I procrastinated, and I think it's also because of like, I mean, we all have it more or less, but like I had a massive imposter syndrome. And so I was quite happy staying in the sort of, oh, I'm cutesy, nicey documentary photographer because, you guys are going to die one day. So it's the most important that, we do this and we do that. And I worked on it a lot in the last few years. And then I realized, like, I was like, okay, I do work in luxury places. Like there's some places in Paris that recommend me and they are luxury places. But I am not a luxury photographer. So I was like, what is it that's not making you make the jump? Like, obviously these people are booking you, so you have the clients that would pay more. So why are you not charging more? And yeah, so I started working on that quite a bit. And the website is definitely one of the big things because I hadn't done my website since COVID, I think.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It worked fine. You know, I still got requests from it and stuff, but it's just like very cute, almost amateur, like, oh, sorry for being here. I'm a photographer, but you know, I'm almost apologizing for it.
Yeah.
I'm going full the opposite, and it made my colleagues laugh because I've just released the site, but then in a month or so I'm changing the name. Okay. And my name was Les Mariages d'Elo, which nobody understands in English, which is stupid because most of my clients are foreigners now, and it just means like Elodie's weddings. So again, very cutesy. And I'm changing to something a lot more arrogant.
Okay, cool. What is it?
Which the French will hate, but that's okay because I'm not, targeting French. So I'm changing it to the Parisian, like very, very simple, but very. I mean, we would think it's pretty arrogant, really, but it was available amazingly enough. So yeah, so I'm changing to the Parisian, and that will work nicely for SEO as well. And it's more of a brandy, magazine-y type name.
Yeah, nice. I'm excited to actually check it out after this. After this, I'm going to have a snoop. But like, I think, to be in the luxury sort of market and stuff like that, I think you need a little bit of that arrogance flair. Like not ego, but like just a little bit of arrogance. And do you know what I mean? A little bit of something different. And I think that's what they kind of look for as well. Because they like luxury people look for like bougie brands and stuff like that, right? So like you need a bit of that in your branding, I think, if you want to get to that sort of, and more simplistic and stuff like that as well, Yeah,
more simplistic. And but I think also like people with money, they're used to delegating, so they trust you with your trade and with your brand. And so if you sound like you're not self-confident anymore enough, then they're not going to feel you, basically. So you have to sort of go for it, I guess. And stop overthinking stuff. Like, I think we overthink a lot of stuff. And you talked about ego. I don't think finding this sort of name is about is egoistical, but I do think that not doing it is a question of ego, because when we don't dare doing something, and when we fall into imposter syndrome, it's your ego talking. It's basically your ego telling you, I can't take rejection, or I can't take, basically I can't take rejection. So you're letting your ego take over when you're not doing the stuff, and when you're like, oh no, but I'm not as good as you. Oh no, but I can't show you the full gallery because you're going to judge me, or oh, I can't do contests because then I'll feel bad if I don't win. It's basically your ego talking. So you have more ego not doing it than actually going for it, I think, because if you go for it, then it might not work. I mean, it might not work. Like, people might hate the website, for example. I mean, it's not at all like the luxury feel like you would expect, like the golden and it's all colorful and stuff. But it might not reach its target or something. But I don't care. At least I'm going for it and I'm trying, and that's how you learn, I guess. So So I think we have a lot more ego when we stay in our little comfortable thing.
Yeah, I've never really thought of it that way, but it does make perfect sense. I think like when it comes to like the website as well, like for more luxury and stuff, like when I look at my peers and people that I know that do that sort of area, it's like less words, more pictures as well, but not too many pictures. Like you need to get the balance right, because I know people are like SEO and this and the other, but I think like these guys make pages for SEO, but they're just completely hidden. So they will show up, but when you go to the website, you'll never see those pages. It's just like it looks like 4 pages or 5 pages is all they have. And that's
something I had to let go of, because my previous website had a lot of SEO stuff in, and I was like, okay, just sort of let go. Don't really overthink the SEO on this one. Just make it look pretty and make it look the way it's supposed to look, and get the message across with the places, the dresses, the whatever, the little codes that people recognize, that go like, oh, this is our kind of wedding, and then just forget about the SEO in itself. I mean, and one reason why I thought about that is I got to the first page in the search in French. I didn't actually manage to do it myself. My website got hacked maybe 3 months ago, and the virus put like 500 backlinks onto website, and I suddenly got to page 1 of Google, and it never went back down. But in French, the only things I'm getting is requests for small weddings, like 2 or 3 hour weddings, and quite cheap and whatever. So I don't care about losing that.
Yeah.
And then the English version is basically the opposite. It's like, getting the backlinks for like from you guys, Fearless, WPJ, whatever. That's made me go up, and I don't really have to do anything to my website, and it still stays up. So because we're not so many, who speak English well, who try and target English people, and so you don't need to do much SEO to be at the top in English. So I sort of dropped the whole SEO thoughts for the new website, and then maybe I'll try and make it a little bit better if I see that it goes down a lot. But
yeah, are you
as they say?
Are you getting rid of your old site, or you've got your old site running anyway and then just putting this alongside it?
No, I don't have the old site. So
right, got rid of it.
Yeah. So I've just launched the new one, and it's only in English. And whenever I actually have the time, I'll probably do the translation into French. But before it was the opposite. I had a French website translated into English. But that's not the French version is not my priority anymore, because I don't get so many French people anymore, and also the French people that I get would understand English, so they wouldn't care if my website is in English. So
yeah. Well, Google translates it for you anyway if you need to. So if they need a basic translation, it's not
exactly.
And those issues are no longer that great. So
and there's also like a simple fact, which is I guess some other people think about it as well, but like I'm not 20 anymore, I'm not 30 anymore, I'm in my 40s, and it gets tiring to do weddings after a while. And when you target Americans or British people, the weddings are a lot shorter, so you get tired a lot less.
Okay.
So that was also one of the reasons why I decided to target more foreigners. The weddings are much more doable than the French ones, where they start getting ready at 8 a.m. and then they go dancing until 4.
Yeah. You don't want to do that. Are you trying to target are you trying to get to charging to 15 grand per wedding? Is that your
No, I don't. I mean, you never know. I might at some point, but I don't think so, because I think the 15 grand, you sort of have to manage a team. Like, it's not 15 grand in your pocket. So
yeah.
So I think more like the 5-7K. I mean, in France, the sort of, I would say, documentary stylish is like 2,500 euros a wedding. So already, if you get to like 5-7K, you're already quite premium. And then I mean, you'll see. Maybe I'll suddenly enjoy managing people, but I don't think I would. So I quite like it.
I think that is the difference when you get to that really, really high sort of thing. I did a wedding once where I had to have 2 other photographers with me, and so there's 3 of us working a wedding reception. And I was like, even though they were really good and everything was great, it was just felt like I don't like managing people. Like, even when I've got second shooters, I don't like telling them what to do. I have a few things I tell them in the beginning, then I'm like, just do what you need to do. Like, I don't know. I'm still like, I find it awkward. Do you know what I mean? Like, managing. So I definitely don't want to be managing even more than that. Like, when I had the 2, I found it tricky. And found it tricky is also like not to try and get them in my photos and stuff like that, because they were, unlike some luxury where it's like, oh, you're doing decor and you're doing this. It was like, we were all both doing candids, but one had to go with the bride side of the parents, one had to go with the groom side. And, and then I was with the bride and groom. So it was like, that's how we were split, because they wanted their own photographers following them around, greeting stuff. It was more like a corporate event, really, this wedding. It didn't feel like a wedding reception, like it felt like, just like,
I think it gets better probably to manage people if you work with the same ones, or you have you pick amongst 2 or 3, then you learn to work together. I know I have this other colleague, Solène. She's also getting into, I mean, she's further down actually, but she's gotten into the higher sort of range weddings, and whenever I'm free, I go and help her as a second shooter, because then we know how to work together, and then I know I'm doing like the decor, and then and I'm not signed yet, but I might be getting one that's sort of the same end of August, and I also need a second shooter, so I probably will take Solen because we know how to.
Yeah.
If it's free, so you have to choose like people that, first of all, you trust, understand how you work, so they're not in your way, and I think I have the same style as you as well. Because if you start doing like sort of more luxury stuff, then yeah, the flowers are important, and if you choose your documentary friend that only shoots candids, they're not going to be happy doing it, or they're not going to be doing it well. So there's still like some codes that you need to do, and that's one thing I noticed as well with the years is I obviously my main approach is still documentary, and I still explain it to them that way. But I think we don't have to stay in like just the one box. And,
no,
I see a lot of those discussions at the moment about, oh my God, the blurry. I mean, you see it as well on 9 dots. Oh my God, the blurry, or oh my God, the vertical. And oh my God, the direct flash. You tried direct flash, you said in Paris. And it's like, it's not because you're documentary that you can't play with things. Like, and who decided that there's a higher level of photography? Like, why is documentary supposed to be, the one thing that real photographers do, and then the rest is shit? It's like, well, it's still photography. Like, it's not because you know how to use 4 flashes on the dance floor that you can't use just the one sometimes, or vice versa. It's not because you only do one that you don't know how to do 4. You might have actually chosen not to do 4. So I that's all stuff that I realized in the last few years that, also thanks to conferences and, stuff like The Gathering and stuff like that, where you meet people. It's, we don't have to stay in the same club constantly. We can also open our chakras and try other stuff.
I totally agree with you with that. It's funny because so when I used to DJ, I was like a specific DJ. So it's like hip hop, R&B mainly, right?
Yeah.
And then this new genre of music came in, which was like UK garage. And then I was just like, oh, I love that. So I started playing some of that. And I was always like a drum and bass fan. So I always bought drum and bass on the side anyway, but I never really got to play it ever. But then I stopped when CDJs, when vinyl was coming out and CDs were coming in. And a lot of DJs that used to be like a specific genre changed to becoming a DJ, which was called open format. And so even though they might be a hip hop head at heart and love R&B or love drum and bass, they started to play everything. And they were the DJs that were getting really, really busy. But I was I don't want to do that because I was a vinyl DJ and it'd be very expensive to buy vinyl and I didn't want to switch to CDs. But when I look back at it now, that's how some of these DJs, they were like me. They didn't want to switch and they stayed in their lane. And some of them have done really well in their lane. Others that I was coming up with at the same time, they became open format DJs and they exploded onto the scene, basically how it is right now, because a lot of the photographers, they're not pegged into one box, and they're the photographers that I see are doing really well. Whereas the people that are just I'm only documentary or I'm only this way, they're the ones that are I'm not saying they're not doing well, but they're the ones that I see are oh, my bookings are low and this, that, and the other and stuff like that. Well, that's what I kind of see. Yeah. And so but the other people, the open format DJs and the people that do everything, they seem to be doing really well. And we're just having this discussion because obviously this is the hot topic right now, right? So I had this same sort of discussion with Nadine the other day about how to market now, because she likes doing different things and whatnot. And then someone made a comment anyway in the 9 dots group, and I was just and he loved the thing that Nadine uses the Instagram as her website shop, and I'm her shop window, right? And I'm yeah, that's what blogs used to be, and that's what our website is as well. It's all a shop window. But Louis Vuitton, for example, they have certain items in the window which are super high end, right? Yeah. But their main sales and profit all comes from once you come inside the shop, and from the clutches and the purses and stuff like that. So it's almost they display stuff, which is I do editorial flash, tilts, blurred, everything. Yeah. But then when you come into the shop, at the back is what you're going to buy, which is at the core storytelling and documentary. Oh, exactly. So, that's how I see it now. I'm experimenting with the same with my Instagram grid, with trying different things and putting different things on there, because I think people want variety. There's obviously, and people listening to this will know this anyway, but there is obviously someone for everyone out there. But if you want to market to the mass, right, and not a niche, then I think you need to showing a lot more of everything and not hiding I still refuse to show details. I'm sorry. There's just something I can't do. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to.
Okay. You know, if they ever need someone, just get a second shooter to do it for you.
Yeah, no. As in, I'll still shoot. No, I shoot them. I just won't. I don't want to show them on my Instagram grid.
Oh, show them, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Unless there's some like really good context, like someone's arranging the flowers in really good light, and it looks like a documentary stroke details. But no, I'm not going to show that because I believe in like that. But
your example about the DJing is really good because with the DJing, it's like, you know, you might have people that are following you and that are coming to your shows and everything. So changing, like going like all Radiohead, i.e. going from like Britpop to electro, you will probably lose people. But we're wedding photographers, I'm sorry, but nobody's been following us for 5 years. Like, you know, you only do their wedding and then they're married and then they're gone. So nobody's going to go like, oh, I'm not sure about this photographer because 5 years ago they were doing more documentary and now, you know,
that's so true.
It's like I think we have to like, you know, get off our high chairs sometimes and just go like, okay, these people, we're not like their life. Like they haven't been like following us, hoping to have us as a wedding photographer for years, apart from a few that have been following us since they were engaged or maybe before, but that's not the majority, I would say. So it doesn't matter if you suddenly start, you know, shooting vertical a little bit to get more clients, or because you actually started enjoying it. Like I used to shoot a lot more vertical when I started as a wedding photographer, and then but that's my own fault. Like I got influenced by the whole documentary sphere where, you know, people say like, oh, it has to be landscape because that's how the eye reads better. And if you're into storytelling, you can't change format and And, you know, it's like, who said? I mean, there's lots of people that read from top to bottom. Like there's different, you know, writings in the world.
And right to left, yeah.
Yeah, and right to left. And so who said so? I think, you know, our brain is clever enough to actually adapt. If we can, like, I said that at my conference at Learning to Fly, but if we can, like, send people to space, like, I think our brain can read a vertical picture. It's fine. Yeah. So yeah, and it was all about, again, like, getting out of the box and going, okay, you were super fine taking like vertical pictures and you were actually maybe even better than landscape pictures. So just go back to taking more vertical pictures. And you know, you did like 3 workshops on having as many flashes as possible to take pictures and you're still not doing it. So just accept the fact that you don't want to do it. Like you're not interested in it. This is not basically your style or your vibe, as they say now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think if anything is teaching us, the whole editorial thing is teaching us to trust ourselves more with what we want to do instead of having to follow trends that are supposed to be better than others. Like although people think that's the trend that we're following, the editorial, but I think we were also following trends before. It's just one of them made us feel better because it's supposed to be the better type of photography. But
you're 100% right. We were following trends before. And when the documentary approach was very, very strong, everyone went down that and everyone went on. Funnily enough, with that one, everyone went onto the websites and changed their websites. I'm a documentary photographer, I'm storytelling, and this is my craft and blah, blah. It's just that now a lot of these people have been doing it for so long. And the documentary thing has been going on for like 10, 12 years, right? I would say maybe longer. I don't know. But if I look back, like, with the gathering and stuff like that, since like we've been doing it 12 years or whatever, like the documentary approach has been like the best and the strongest approach. Or I'm not saying it's the best, but do you know what I mean? Like that's the one that most people are following.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of these people have become older now and some people just don't like change either. So they don't want to adapt. They're like, no, I want to stay this way now. And we have been like conditioned to not change. Whereas you need to, like, exactly what you're saying. I totally agree with everything you're saying. Like, we need to think outside the box. Like, we can't just be like this. If things are changing one way, then you need to, like, I prefer to remain fluid than not. Like, don't, like, a year ago, I'll probably be like, nah, this is rubbish. And, like, there are some people that are, like, more louder on the social media with, like, editorial and stuff, which I, like, don't agree with stuff they're saying. But I also have always enjoyed looking at, like, Jose Villa or House on the Clouds and all these kind of people doing like this Nama Verma, like for example, like doing sort of like this fashion editorial look for weddings. And I've always loved it. And I'm like, man, I'd love to like be able to do that. But I was like so strong in my head about staying this way. But now that I'm playing with it and looking at it and like playing and trying it at weddings, I'm enjoying weddings a little bit more. Like I enjoyed that pre-shoot I did in Paris, you know, with on-camera flash. Like I can't lie, I enjoyed it. It was fun, and it was fun.
And it suits Paris. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, if we're going back to
It suits the couple as
cliches,
well.
but it suits the fact that we're like sort of more supposed to be more fashiony and more elegant and that kind of stuff, and it just suits it. Like the same way that I don't chase people that come to Paris to have their picture in front of the Eiffel Tower at 7 a.m. That's not my thing. I chase people that have a real story with Paris. So we still have the story and the documentary as part of it. But at the same time, if they come to Paris, it is because they have some cliches about it. And cliches are cliches because they're real as well. So, so they're not going to, come to Paris and look for cool London type, they also come to Paris because they find it, elegant, cute paved streets, the terraces, the all that kind of stuff. So you need to sort of adapt and deliver that as well. And that also is something I think I probably had in me. I mean, not when you look at me, I'm not like elegant or anything, but I did grow up in Paris. I think I have that aesthetics in my head. And then I worked in the music industry. So I have this sort of cool, but still, and I used to ignore it a bit more, I think, or not trust myself with it. And now that I work in places also that reflect that, it helps bringing it out. I think it all works together. Obviously, if you're doing like a shitty looking town hall, it's difficult to come up with editorial style stuff. But doing a nice hotel, then suddenly you're going to want to be doing a bit more. So yeah, I think it's always like it goes back to like suiting the wedding that you're doing, and it's not up to you to just bring your own way of photographing. You also have to take into account the way they decided to do their weddings. But going back and then sorry, I'm still thinking about the DJ example because I think that was an excellent example. You said like a few that stayed the same, still did well and booked really well. So I think people like York Play Studios, for example, who are amazing and masters at their craft, they will always book, even if they're like 100% documentary. But there's a lot of us that are sort of middle documentary style.
Yeah. And most of us. Yeah.
Yeah, most of us. Yeah. Most of us are not geniuses, like, Liam. So I think it's up to us to adapt, because there's going to be more people wanting the Instagram stuff because that's what they look at, and you're attracted by what you see and everything. And if we all stay stubborn and go, no, I'm only going to do documentary and landscape and whatever, because there will still be people that want that. Sure, there will still be people that want that, but there will be a lot less people that want that, and still as many photographers that do it. So I think that's where we have like the booking problems as well showing up, as opposed to like all the theories. I don't know what you think about those theories, but I really don't believe in them. The theory about like COVID.
Oh, right.
Because COVID, people couldn't meet, so we're like 4 years later. So like that's the average time to get engaged. So that's why we're not getting any married. I mean, come on, we got locked up like a month. We didn't get locked up like 2 years. People met. Yeah. People met. People even like hooked up and stayed, lived together after knowing each other for 2 weeks because it was COVID. So I think it's all excuses. It's easier to say that it's COVID rather than actually looking at what you're not doing anymore that's attracting people. So
that's very true. The only reason that I would believe a little bit in the COVID blip is because it's not only affecting wedding photographers, it's affecting the whole wedding industry. So I can kind of see why I don't buy it as much as you do, like you either, by the way. I think like certain wedding venues as well are probably not like there's a whole lot, like there's so many different reasons, right? So like because all these people, like I don't really see that many caterers saying they're not doing well, funnily enough. Like in the Indian scene, right? I don't see many caterers. The caterers are still doing well, but venues are not doing well. Some that used to be really good, but that's because people on Instagram and what I was seeing Instagram and social media have been like, you know what? I don't actually want to get married in a barn anymore. I don't want a barn wedding. I don't want a teepee wedding. I actually want.
That's the thing.
Like
the barn
a small hotel.
Documentary, it's like it's the same sort of range. So
exactly.
I think everyone wants the higher range, but they don't all have the money for the higher range. But they all want the higher range look. So yeah.
Yeah, and places like do you know Marylebone Town Hall? Like in London, you would have seen pictures from there, right? Like it's a carousel, it's a factory for weddings. Yeah. Every 10 minutes, someone's getting married in there. Basically, it's great. No, honestly, they do 4 different rooms, like at a very 5-minute interval simultaneously. But I think more people, like I've had 2 years ago, I didn't shoot one wedding at this Marylebone Town Hall, right? Living in London, not one. And now I've got like 3 or 4, and they're all doing Marylebone Town Hall for a civil. Because it looks nice, you've got the steps, you've got this editorial vibe there, and then they're just doing a reception and stuff like that. So people are changing, like, or they're doing like a bar with just 40 of their friends and stuff like that. So people's things are changing, like their tastes are changing. So some of these venues that are struggling, like which were once amazing, it's because, and unfortunately for venues, the look is the look, unless you destroy the building and rebuild something else, right? Like it's impossible to like change. And I don't know how, but then like the luxury hotels that aren't getting booked in, that were quiet at one point, are now busy again. And it's like, when I first started wedding photography, there was this hotel called A Grove. It's always been busy as a wedding venue, but I didn't do weddings for ages there. And when I first started, I did like so many, then none for a long time. And now suddenly it's come back into it again, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's going full circle.
Yeah, and something I've noticed as well, I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but like I've noticed that some of those places, you think they're going to be super expensive, but when you actually look at them, they don't actually have a higher booking price. They have like a price per person that includes like decoration and meals and whatever. And so when you work it out, first of all, it's a lot simpler, but also it's not that much more expensive than a really nice looking barn place where you would have to add cater and then you would have to make a florist come. And then you would, they actually have this quite clever way of doing it. Some of them where you basically, they go like, from 160 euros per person, but there's no hiring fee on it. So, it actually doesn't work out more expensive than a normal wedding. So.
Yeah, exactly. And it's stress-free. So, it's difficult. They
already have the team in place because they're a hotel, right? So they just hire a couple more people and that's it. So, it's.
Yeah, I think times are like obviously definitely changing. Trends are changing. Like you've always booked 6 months in advance, right? Whereas I've, for a long time, have always booked a year in advance. Never a year and a half, but I've never opened my diary over a year anyway. So it was always a year in advance, and which was quite good, like for my mental state, because like, your finances are all right. But now, again, like with that, I've had to adapt because I'm confident that I'm going to still book more weddings. Like I'm getting inquiries for like this May still, and it's like 2 months away, and they're pretty big weddings. And it's just like, so people are doing shorter lead times, or people are getting engaged and just being like, you know what, I can find this venue. It's not booked out. So the venue's giving them a discount, and suddenly they're like, I'm going to get married now. And
and
so
you're also London,
engagements.
Like, London for me is the same as what I was saying about Paris. It's like people know they will find a photographer because there's plenty of us. So it's not like people who get married in the countryside and they want someone local and there might be 3 photographers in the whole region. So then they book them in advance. I think, they know they're going to find a photographer. Again, we have an ego that thinks they can only like us and us only. But I mean, there's plenty of Elodies and there's plenty of Rahuls and they will find you and love you. But if you're already booked, they will find someone else that they love as well. They just need to look for it a little bit better. So I think in the big cities, it's completely normal. And that for me is definitely a COVID thing. Like people got used to booking things a lot later because we just suddenly didn't know what would happen in our lives and everything. So when you want to get married, you don't want to plan it for the next 2 years because you never know, we might get another COVID or something. So I think even without telling ourselves that, there's something that changed in our brain, which is that we're a lot more at ease with doing things faster and more last minute. And I know when you have children, it's, as you said, you felt more confident booking earlier because you have a family to feed. Like I'm lucky that I don't. So it's never stressed me out. I've always thought if I don't book, I can always like find a small job or work in a bar for 3 months, and then it always turns out that I book. But I'm trying sometimes to tell my friends to try and think like that because the stress of not booking can make you not book because then once you start talking to clients, if you feel too clingy or too desperate, they can feel it. So so it's a bit of a vicious circle. Like people have to get used to booking later, I think, but try not to stress about it. But then again, children to feed.
It's just like it's only because that's all I've known for like 10 years, right? But like now it's like, okay, so every January I'm always stressed, and my wife is just like, you're like this every January. And I'm like, am I? She goes, yes, for every January. And I was just like, even before COVID, she's just like, all the time in January, you're always stressed. And I'm like, okay, fine. So that's a definite trait. I'm not one of these people, like a lot of photographers love like statistics and they keep all the records of all the inquiries and they can graph and chart it. I think life's too short for that for me, man. Like I never know. I never track. The only things I track are like the bookings, right? And for me, it's just, everything is just on bookings. Like I don't care how many inquiries I get. It's a bit like football. You can shoot at the goal 30 times, but it doesn't make a difference if you only score 3 times. Like what is the number? That's all that matters, right? So like I've always been stressed like in that way anyway. So I had a point about this, but now I'm changing my thinking as well. Yeah. So my thing is like changing the thinking as well. Like I feel now that I know how it's been this year, I've written a note already on my thing, like to read in January next year and be like, the bookings will come, but like, it's going to take a little bit longer. And then you can hold out as well, because sometimes, and this is a vicious cycle, like you can get panicked and then you could give someone like a 20% discount for like a really good date because you're like, my actual bookings are low, and you start giving people discounts, but then suddenly like you're getting inquiries for like all these peak dates again, where people are willing to pay you the money you wanted anyway. So you're shooting yourself in the foot. So so I've put a reminder of don't do things like that. And I have done that a couple of times this year. Don't get me wrong. Like I've given like 10%, not 20, but 10% discounts and stuff like that, which is still money, right? And it's like, you're just chucking away like 500 quid or something, which is crazy when you think about it. But yeah,
it's like you're giving them a present of 500 quid.
Yeah, which is like ridiculous.
I didn't give a present of 500 quid to my best friend when she got married. So, we all need to eat and live and get paid for our jobs.
But because I was panicked is the reason, But this is what I'm saying. Like, it comes back to like that shop analogies. It's like, now I'm like going to try different things, and where you are, you're like the shop assistant now, or the salesperson. So when I walk into your door, you've got to become confident, remain calm, don't look clingy and desperate and all of those other things, because that's what they're comparing you. Once they like your work and they like my work and they like someone else's work, then apart from pricing, which can affect it, the rest is just how they get along with you. That's it. Yeah. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. No, I agree. And that's one thing that actually, when I started out, whenever I had to tell people the price, again, I would sound like I was almost apologizing for it. And so immediately they would come back and say, oh, but we had only planned for this much. Can you help us? And I would immediately go, sure. I mean, I usually don't do it, but sure, I will do it, because I didn't I basically didn't trust myself with anything. And then COVID happened, and the COVID was a good thing for me because I had just left my previous job. Okay. And so I was entitled like state benefits, not because of COVID, but because I had left my previous job. And we did like a redundancy thing where I could get state benefits. And so I knew I had this money coming in every month. So I thought, okay, every time you have someone on the phone, on video call for a wedding, whenever they ask you for a discount, just say no. You have to say no. You never say yes. And if you don't have that wedding, it doesn't matter, because you will still have your state benefits that will make up for it. Make up for the loss. So every single time someone would ask me, I would have to argue why that was not going to happen. And 95% of the time, people would still book. Yeah. So a lot of the time, people just try because they have this thing where they think that when you're self-employed, you're desperate, or when you're self-employed, they can ask you for anything. They always ask you if they can pay you cash as well, because they think it's okay, because then they can pay you less. But then, who's risking everything by doing that? We are.
And what are you going to do with the cash anyway nowadays? Nothing.
Yeah. Well, in front you can, but
okay, yeah. Over here, nothing unless you're doing
but it's like they think we're going to say yes because they think, well, it's a win-win situation. But how is it a win-win situation? If you cancel your wedding, I'm losing. If you're not happy with something and you report me to the tax people, I'm losing. If I get a random tax check, I lose. So like, we're the ones losing. So why would I say yes? So yes, I really practiced that, and then realized that it was mainly people trying, but that if they really want you, they will find the extra cash.
They have the extra cash. They just like to ask. It's like me though. I'll be honest. I do the same thing to other people. If I'm buying a car and I go to 2 different car garages, I'm like, oh, in Volkswagen they're giving me this price, and in Audi it's a similar car and they're doing it for this. Is there anything you can do to match it? And then but
then those are like big companies, and they have massive margins.
I do it with builders though. I do it with everyone. I don't do it with like small jobs. But say if I don't know, I'm getting like quotes right now for like loft extensions and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm still gonna like compare them and then be like, okay, I really like this guy. I wonder if I can get him down to the guy's price that I don't like, or because you just feel like it's a win. Maybe it's just a me thing, but I am used to like asking for discounts. And so when people do ask me, I always joke with them. I'm like, yeah, I guess if you don't ask, you don't get, right? Like other people are willing to give you discounts, but I'm not. And sometimes I found just giving like £75 off, which isn't much at all, right? It like they feel like they've won, and they're like, yes, I've got him for a little bit off, or like
but see, you've just said the word though. They feel like they've won, and I actually don't want to start working on a wedding with like this sort of, I'm winning and you're like, or I'm superior and you're not. Or
it's not
like,
that. It's not that.
It's like
it's just
teamwork. Like
no, they are completely like that. They're not thinking like that. But what they just think is like, yes, I can report back to my partner that I saved us a little bit of money or something like that. That's it. But they're lovely people. Like, I wouldn't book weddings where I don't vibe with them. I think I'm in a good position to like, if there's a red flag, like if they have a Hotmail account, no, that's a joke. Like for me, it's just like, I will turn down a wedding if I don't get along with them, but I don't mind people asking for a discount, but yeah, again, I'm with you. I'm like, no. Or sometimes I'm just like, I'll increase it by an hour, even though they like a year later or 6 months, they're not going to remember. Like, if I stayed that longer, like one of my things is like, I tell everyone I stay till the end of the night. And so I used to, but again, with age now, I decide whether I want to stay to the end of the night or not. It's just like, if it's really popping, the party's really doing well, then I'm going to stay. If I feel like it's petering out, whereas back in the day, I would have sat there waiting for something to happen. Now I'm just like, we'll go up to the bride and groom, a couple, and just be like, see ya, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. They hug me, we hug, and that's it. And then I leave, even though they booked me on the basis to be there till the end of the night, but they don't remember, and they don't care. They don't want you to stay till the end of the night anyway.
Yeah,
like it's not.
I mean,
what are they gonna get?
I am actually on the sort of unlimited approach, because I cannot picture myself going to see a bride and groom to tell them on the day of their wedding, oh, your cake is delayed. Can you give me more money?
Yeah. I don't understand people that do this. Like,
so I don't, and I understand that commercially it makes more sense, because then they will book you for a smaller amount of money, and then whenever they have to splash out the extra dough, it's already like a year later or 6 months later. So then it's their wedding day, so they will say yes. So it's probably more clever to bring in more money, but I don't do that. I'm like, I tell them, but I don't tell them I stay until the end of the night. I tell them like I stay quite long at the party, because I'd rather wait for Macklemore to be put on and get good pictures than just stay for 1 hour, half an hour, 1 hour, and, some shit pictures while smoking outside or whatever. So I tell them I stay until I decide that I've got enough and that we're good and whatever, but that I don't count my hours, so they don't have to worry about midnight or 1 or 2 or whatever. Yeah,
I say it's roughly, I've changed it to something like that as well now, basically literally the same. And they're all right with it. It's just the way you tell it to them and the way you sell it, I guess. It's just because it says unlimited, it doesn't really mean I'm going to be there till the complete end.
And I tell them, I'm depends. Like, as long as it's humanly possible. So I'm like, obviously, if you start your prep at 6 a.m., I'm not going to be on the dance floor at 2, because that's going to be too much. Like, but it's more limited because you don't have to worry. Like, I will shoot what there is to shoot until I'm done. So
yeah. And also, I think that's what, like, the more higher prices you charge, the more they just want that. Like you said, like they're after someone that they just trust. They've seen the work on your website, and they just want to book that they book you to just do that good job. And so they don't want the headache of like, oh, he's only there for 6 hours, so let's cut the cake at like 2 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. and doing these sort of things. And also people that charge extra, I just can't do it. Like I know exactly what you mean. Like commercially it might make sense, but in my heart, it's like, I wouldn't want to be treated that way if that was my wedding. Like just before the cake, be like, oh, I'm going to be here for 3 hours extra. It's like, doesn't make sense.
The human side is super important on weddings. And I'm not saying that colleagues that ask for more money are not human. Like some of my super good friends are really good at it, and they are very, very,
shrewd.
Brides and grooms. But yeah, that's not how I approach it. For me, it's like, okay, if you book me, then it's the whole experience you're getting, which is that sounded really arrogant. Sorry.
No, like, but I know what you mean. No,
like a whore or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, if I'm getting to know you, because I get to know them before, like if they live in Paris, we go for drinks before the wedding and everything. If I get to know you before and I'm really interested in your story and I'm really interested in knowing all the names, like I get the names of all the close people beforehand, and I know who they are within about 10 minutes, then I'm not going to show up at midnight and say, oh, by the way, I'm supposed to go. Like it just doesn't make sense. It's like suddenly a break in in the flow or something. So so I'd rather have people that tell me they can't book me because I'm more expensive than others. And that's okay because I'll find another couple for that weekend. But at least if they've booked me, they know that's done and they don't have to worry about anything else, and they're getting all their high-res files and whatever. Like, not interested in having them hostage to either more time or more pages in an album or whatever. Like, I'm not,
Yeah. I'm very similar in that approach as well. I know, like, I've had this conversation with someone else that was like quite businessy on the podcast, and they're like, you lose a lot of money by just giving 2-3 extra spreads per couple, and like they were like, if you multiply what you charge that by the amount of couples you do, that's like, they were like, it's like $3,000, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. But also, when I break it down into the smaller bits, I just prefer to be like, hey, you've gone over your album spreads, I'm going to give this to you for free, like, it's all good, because I want your album to look beautiful, I want it to be perfect. So don't stress about it. I know I said I'll charge, but I'm not going to charge you. And they love that. And then, that's how I get an even better review. And some people have updated their reviews on Google to say, oh, Rahul did this and that. And then I have to tell them, please don't mention that I gave you free spreads, because I don't want people to think that I just give them out, even though I do give them out all the time. Like, I just rather everything be perfect. And like you said, the whole process, that my business relies on referrals. Like, I'm 90% is referrals for me. So like, I want to be like really good. I want them to think I'm the best supplier ever. And then they just keep recommending me, because I know that if they're recommending me to their friends are in the same social circles, probably have the same amount of money. They're after the same vibe and they can afford me. So, Yeah,
that's very true. That's one thing I'm losing actually with going more international. Is before I used to get a lot of that as well. Like, people recommended me to their friends, or like this last year I had like a cousin of my bride booking me on the nights, like during the party. So I was like, okay, let's talk tomorrow when we're like not drunk anymore. And then but it still worked out. It was for the next September. The wedding was in July, so it was again like 3 months before. So that's one thing I'm going to lose, because obviously if you're an American couple coming to get married in Paris, not all your friends are going to get married in Paris, right? So just like it's the one-off. So so I need to work more on the rest, like the Instagram and the Google.
Yeah, I think for you it will be more Instagram, social media, SEO, and like SEOing the specific venues and stuff like that. Because your referral rate will be completely gone.
Yeah, no. That's okay. I mean, I might still get French people, but I'm cutting off like quite a lot of France by being called the Parisian, because people hate us.
Really?
People in France hate people from Paris, and then people in the world hate people from France. So we're hated by everybody. But it's okay.
I think like, all your aesthetics and your look, and I kind of like that name. It's cool. I like it, and it's easy to spell, and they understand and they know what they're going to get. Yeah, compared to what your previous one was like.
No, yeah,
definitely.
I mean, my previous one, I decided on like 5 minutes when I was still working at Warner. I was talking to one of my colleagues, and I'm like, "Oh, what can we do? What can we do?" And then I couldn't find anything, and I thought, okay, if you wait to find a name, your website will be done in 2 years, and then you will procrastinate it. So just put something simple, and then you'll change it in a couple of years. And now it's been 8 years, and I'm only changing it now. So So
it's fun. It's funny because like I haven't changed my actual front page and my actual main website or anything for like 8 or 9 years, and I keep checking. Like every time these things come around, and I have like a little wobble or like the trends change, I like say to Alex, like, do you think I should change this and this and the other? He goes, but like, are you booking? Are you getting inquiries? Do people like your website? And I'm like, yes. And he's just like, so why do you want to change it? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't know. But now with this new Style Cloud thing, not to pick them up too much as like some sort of paid ad or something, but like, I'm excited to like make these new pages. Like I have a welcome guide, which I made in Canva. And like, so one of my things is to like turn that into, a page on the website and make it like different. And then, just certain things I just want to change around. And like, but so the front end will still stay the same. But then once you come in to the back end of the shop, it will be like a little bit different here and there. And I'm excited by that.
It's super simple. It's super nice. And the same, like I never really had a very complicated website. And I honestly never updated. Like I think I posted one blog post in 2023 or 2024. But now that I've got like the nice templates and stuff, I know I'm going to be doing like, I've put like pictures aside. and I've got a list of maybe 6 or 7 more blog posts to do. And I was like, okay, I'll do them this month coming. So then when I change the name, then the website is a bit more full because it's still a bit empty on the blog side. But at least I've released it. So then Google starts getting used to the new one. Already. Yeah. And then I will make it better for the official release.
So with your work, like, were you always, like, I know you said you went to like documentary workshops and stuff like that, but are you more documentary heavy then, or have you changed that now and you're like doing editorial and moving with the times?
I think I'm still more documentary heavy, because for me, documentary means that you're doing like the stories and the candids and everything. And I still do not go, like, if it's cocktail time, I don't go around people asking them to post constantly,
Yeah.
I still, so I still look for those moments. It's just that before, like when I started out, whenever a couple would tell me, oh, by the way, we don't really want any post pictures because we don't know how to pose, and we're not very romantic, I would immediately sort of hide behind that and go like, oh yes, of course, great, let's not do any post stuff. But then I realized that I was hiding behind that because I didn't know how to do the post stuff. Like, it would freak me out, like it would scare me, to get like into a couple's intimacy and try and get some stuff out of them. And then I got more used to that. And now I'm actually, when I have the future clients on the phone, on video, sorry, it's always video, I don't know why it's on the phone. I always explain the documentary approach first, which is basically that the reason why I do weddings is because people are going to die. So that's why I do weddings. Which is,
I do weddings because people are going to die.
Yeah. I actually tell it like that because it makes them laugh. Like, I always say, okay, I'll start with the depressing stuff. Like, some of these people will die, and you also will die at some point.
Yeah.
So that's still the main reason. But then I also think, I think when you're too much into documentary, you forget that we all have, or at least some of the lucky ones that we have maybe one picture of our grandma on her wedding day. Yeah. And at the time, they didn't do documentary wedding photography because, they didn't even have like film. You would go into the studio and they had film, sorry, but you would go into a studio, get a nice formal portrait, and that was it for your wedding, in the 50s or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have a picture like that of my grandma. My grandma died when I was 3, so I didn't know her. I don't know her character. I don't know. And if anything, I've always been told that she was quite a strong, strict woman. But when you look at her wedding picture, sure, it's not a documentary thing. Sure, she's not hugging someone. Sure, she's not crying. But you can see from how she's dressed, what she put in her hair, it tells you a lot about that time. The look in her eyes, she has like this sort of young, melancholic look, of a young woman who's about to get married. And I think it tells you a lot as well. And you're going to be, you're going to be dressed up and made up and looking fucking hot. And what, you don't want nice pictures of that? Like, let's take a few, let's at least, take some time to make you look elegant, because when you're 90 years old, sure, you will love the picture where your mum hugs you because she'll be dead. But then, you will also love the fact that you look so hot. And even if you thought you looked shit at the time, you will realize that you were stupid. So I'm still documentary heavy because that is, for me, still the most important. But I've stopped thinking the rest is not important. I think it is as important, just for different times of your life, basically. So
yeah, I love that. Like, stop thinking the other things aren't important. That's it. And that's what it comes down to. Like, that's what I say. Like, I still think details aren't important, but I still shoot them at every single wedding. It's just I don't show them. So because that's something that I don't want people to put me on, is like my knack for shooting really good details. And I think I shoot them quite well, to be fair. When I do my gallery, people love them. But like, I just don't spend. I'm not like a wedding planner's favorite when it comes to like details and stuff like that. I just don't lay things out and stuff like that. I will move things in certain ways, and like if people have horrific looking table numbers and stuff. But if I hear people laughing and cheering outside, then I'm gonna like suddenly be like, oh my god, I start panicking, course, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna go outside now. Yeah. So that's But like then that's what I'm saying. It all comes down to like what we show, right? Like what we're showing to people on the outside, like what you're showing on Instagram, on TikTok, or on your website. And it all has to be like, it can be cohesive without being just one genre. So like you can have like portraits, details, documentary and everything. And if it was shot the same way and it looks nice and it looks good, then people are going to love that. And I think more and more people, definitely the younger lot, just everything's changed. Even their taste in music has changed. You know, like when I go to parties now, I don't go to a specific like drum and bass thing. It's more like EDM. So then it might have drum and bass, or it might have a bit of tech, or it might have a bit of house. And like, but it's the same people like listening to the same thing. No one's going, oh, why are they playing this shitty house music now? I was here for drum and bass only, or whatever. Like, I think loads of people's change. Like, there's so like more and more when I see like my younger, like, well, I don't really have any nephews or nieces, but when I see my wife's younger nephews and nieces, they seem just so much more cultured and more rounded, and like how compared to like how we were when we grew up. So I feel like that's how they are with their wedding photography, that they want a little bit of everything done really well, rather than just this done amazingly or something, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. I agree. I agree. And I don't think they'll be disappointed in 30 years' time thinking, oh, I should have gone for full documentary. I think that's only stuff that we have in our brains. And you know, as long as they have the moments, and I think everyone's capable of doing moments. Not everyone is capable of doing, you know, amazing layering, again, like your place or whatever.
Yeah.
But everyone is capable of doing moments. That's the basis of our job. Like, so I quite often say I don't imagine how couples cannot be happy with the photography that they've chosen, because either way, even if we think after the wedding, like, oh my God, I missed that thing, or oh, I hope they don't mind that, or whatever. Once they look at their pictures, it's the people they love, it's themselves, it's the most beautiful day of their life, or whatever. So unless you really fucked something up, or you oversold something and didn't deliver on it, then there's no reason why anybody would be unhappy with their wedding pictures. So then, you know, it's up to you to do the job that you want to do, and, you know, shoot what you want to do the way you want to, and stop listening too much to colleagues.
Yeah. I definitely think that's a big one. Like, stop listening to too many colleagues, but that goes with everything though. Like, you know, like there's certain people on social media that just talk loads and loads about editorial. You don't have to listen to everything they're saying. You can just pick the things that you want. It's funny because like your gallery probably, I'm going to assume is a bit like my gallery. Like, even though we talk about all this editorial and doing details, it's just like my gallery is still 90% is basically like all candids and documentary. Yeah, it's not layering and all of this, but it's good moments and happy stuff curated by me to make their wedding look better than it was. And then the other 10% is like family photos, details, and some portraits. But it's just definitely showing more portraits again, and then doing carousels. So then once you do like you click on a portrait, because that's what sells anyway. I can tell by the likes and comments. Like if I start with a portrait shot, right, of the couple, it gets like 1,000 likes and 100 million comments. If I do, well, it doesn't. It gets like, you know, 30 likes and like 2 comments. But if I do a documentary shot, it gets like 2 likes, 0 comments. So it's just like I'm starting with portraits now and stuff like that, and a bit more trendier stuff. But then as soon as you click into the carousel, then it's more and more. It's just all natural. I like to just call it natural. Like, that's what I do. Like, natural photos. That's what it is. You know, it's not a documentary because I don't go into like layering and stuff like that. I don't really know how to do that.
Layering, but again, as you said, like, you have to have a special sort of brain to organize it, I think. And so I've done like I've got some shots I got like TIR awards and stuff where it's like layered, but I find that I only ever managed to do some at prep, because prep is so slow, you have time.
Yeah, you can play.
But then even cocktail, I get like too excited by, as you said, like people laughing here and laughing there and catching this and catching that. So like I find it a lot harder to sort of step back and go like, okay, can I do anything interesting here with the layering? Like, it needs to be at a moment where it's quiet, and then I might, you know, look better. But that's fine. Like, it goes down to what you tell clients anyway beforehand. It's like, you know, they book you for whatever you do. But I know I think I have like my personality is that I'm not very good at dedicating myself to something to become the most excellent at it. Like, I'm just interested in lots of things, and I like to, you know, as I said before, I don't like to be in a box. So trying to do one thing to the very end, like one style to the very end, will also stress me out, because then I feel like I'm in a box, if it makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that's why I was super happy when you know, everyone was getting worried about all the vertical happening and everything. I was actually happy, because I was like, oh, finally we can actually do a bit of, you know, different stuff, and it's getting accepted, and you're not like getting too much criticism from, you know, your picture would look even better landscape or whatever. It's like, well, I like it vertical, leave me alone, you know. But then I know I've said that a lot, but at the same time, I do want to say that listening to colleagues is super good as well. But I think it's super good when you start and when you're trying to find yourself and when you don't see that you're making like horrible composition choices and I like that would make my Frenchies laugh. But I never used to see like tilted lines. Like I never used to use upright. Like I was like, don't care, architecture, no interest. And they helped me see that, and they helped me like learn how to, correct it and everything.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to listen to your colleagues. They're like super good at advice, and they can tell you like they can give you feedback on your galleries, and you can give them feedback on theirs and stuff. But then at some point, one has to become an adult and go for what they want, and not just what other people say they should be going for.
Yeah. I think also with you talking about colleagues is two different things. One is like colleagues that are like colleagues, but they're on like social media and they're shouting that my way is the only way, documentary is this, and this, and or editorial is this, and this. But then you've got like your actual friends, colleagues, and they can help you see different things. And then even you have people that do that shouting, you just got to pick the bits that, like you said, become an adult, and the bits that you like vibe with, like that's the stuff that I'm doing right now. I'm picking and choosing, like, I don't think I'm going to tilt a photo, that's for sure. So that's one thing, because like with composition, I love like straight lines and stuff like that, in the back. And so like tilting it that just does my head in. And even if that becomes the biggest rage ever, I don't think I would be able to, I'm never say never, but I just don't think I could, that doesn't vibe or align with my thought process. So I won't do it. But then like other things, like now shooting on camera flash, like you said, if you've got the right place and the right couple and it suits their vibe, I'll do it, Yeah. But then I'll do video light and I'll do off camera flash. Like it all just depends now. It just depends on the couple.
Yeah, I wouldn't do like direct flash in the daylight at a ceremony in a barn, for example. But I had this wedding this year in Normandy, and everyone looked very Ibiza style. Like they looked super cool, and they were like partying in the afternoon, which never happens on French weddings. Partying in the afternoon, like drinking spritz and I was like, well, now I'm gonna try the daytime flash because that's gonna suit this vibe. Like people just dancing in the afternoon. They had all taken their shoes off and they were like barefoot and just, dancing with a bright orange sprit in their hands. I was like, okay, just take the flash out because on this it will make sense. And it did look fine.
It looks good, yeah. I think that's what it comes down to, right? In this whole career like that of what we're doing, it's just like you just got to have fun and play and experiment and have a good time. And some things you might like and some things you won't like. But that's the joy in like being self-employed and being a creative, is to try things and see what you like. And you could invent something yourself because by playing. But if you just stick to the same thing, I don't know, can get a bit boring, mundane, whatever word you want to use, Like I think it's nice to like try things and play.
And also we have time. It's like, obviously not if you do a 2 or 3 hour wedding, because then they try and cram everything into those 2 and 3 hours. But if you do like full day weddings, nothing prevents you from arriving an hour before, when they're not even getting started and trying. So if you want to try details, then just ask them to bring their details, and then you can spend like the first hour trying to do details. Or if you want to try your flashes, then they dance for long enough that you can try flashes. It's we have one of those jobs where we can try stuff on the job, so and train on the job and have plenty of time to think about trying layering or anything else like that. So
thank you so much for listening to the Dotcast from 9 Dots. We'd love for your help to grow the 9 Dots podcast, so feel free to hit that like, drop us a comment, or share the podcast on any of the platforms that you use. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for the next Dotcast episode coming soon, and in the meantime, check out 9-dots.co if you want to find out more about membership, or you want to learn how 9 Dots can help you or your business achieve the goals that you want. Get in touch.